listen.
The zone there,
right
that's
now,
a dozen
right now, we're
dummies.
fighting on.
Let them do what they do.
Like I said yesterday,
Hearn get burnt. You did. It all sounds the same. Don't worry. Look, we're gonna continue to do what we've been doing.
We don't want to talk bad about them because they need that, you know. But let me
he's in New York right now. He meet up with us and shoot us a better offer. We're not going like that. It's not going down like that.
It was all about Frankie Al Heyman, and we get it from the back end. It was all about that back then. It was all about this side of the street. But what did we see from the PBC on Saturday? An inactive underachiever, Erickson Lubin, was crushed in two. Some people would tell you that Erickson was washed, inactive and all that. And it all may be true, but I believe Virgil would have done that to an active, unbeaten Erickson Lubin regardless. The Charlo brothers. Is it Dazn, Dazn, dummies? Hearn get burned. Was it Jamel asking for a fight against Boots? Eddie said you better not price yourself out this time. So that could happen. That fight could happen. Just the other day he was saying that Al's sick. We got to make our own fights. And then Virgil Ortiz, of course, was talking about his next fight. His dream fight would be Errol Spence, 3 years inactive. And like I said, the last time we saw Errol, it looked like Crawford was trying to teach him how to ice skate. Errol's training with Roy Jones. I believe Errol would have took the fight. It would have been a big fight in Texas. You notice how the PBC is gradually moving into the zone. Gradually. No more this side of the street and backhand money talk. Backhand look like it dry up out there. Need the KY healing. The zone are apparently pressuring Golden Boy to make Ortiz versus Boots. They're looking at a March the 28th date at either the T-Mobile or MGM Grand. And I think the fans are happy that they did so. They had to do this. If they're going to justify that subscription increase, they're going to have to get tough on the promoters and get tough on the fighters. They got no choice. It doesn't mean we're going to see the fight next, but at least DAZN are giving the impression that they're being stern and they're not going to take no bullshit next year. Bullshit! They can't afford to. Lots of people in my comment section from the 2 videos I've done are threatening to unsubscribe, and a lot of them wouldn't give 2 thoughts about illegal streaming or fire sticks. It's funny, before I heard that DAZN vetoed Spence versus Ortiz, I was going to say the next time I upload that when fights collapse, like Boots and Ortiz, we shouldn't go to the fighters, especially if they're on the same platform. We shouldn't go to the promoters. We should take the beef to DAZN. Because that's how fighters and promoters get out of these situations in the back and forth. It just becomes a pantomime. And then eventually people lose interest in the pantomime and they go on to the next one. And the fight's either delayed or it doesn't happen. If I get bad service at the restaurant, I don't want to talk to the waiter or the waitress. I want to talk to management. I want to talk to someone higher up. Oscar is so immature. The clapback thing, and does Oscar really believe that anyone with any interest in the actual art form gives a fuck about his clapback shit? Does he think that's more important than putting on the fight that not only the fans want, but his broadcasters want? Talking about him and Eddie can go in the back and whoever comes out gets some brownie points. Just a weirdo. And as for Virgil being the A-side, how do they work this one out? Is it by his recent gates or his viewership numbers compared to Boots? Is he making bigger purses? Perhaps because he's been on Riyadh season. That's what they must be going off. Boots ain't been on Riyadh. He turned down offers, didn't he? I don't think the fans are particularly interested though. Virgil said that Errol Spence is his dream fight. His dream fight isn't fighting an active fighter like Boots, or if not Boots, Bakram Martazaliev, a unification, or the winner of Barros and Xander Zayas. That's your dream fight. It sounds like something that Oscar or Golden Boy told him to say, because it sounded stupid. And it's also very arrogant of Golden Boy to think that DAZN are going to make this major price increase and include Spence on current form and inactivity as part of the deal.
I don't think so, homie. Don't play that.
DAZN don't want to put that out there after announcing the price increase. They don't want to put that out there.
Once you start hearing things like, you know, we're the A-side. Ortiz has never been a world champion. Great fighter. Boots has been world champion. He's been a unified champion. But neither of them are world champions now. They're just the top 2 fighters in the division. If you truly believe that you're the best, make the fight. Because the fight's there, the fight's done, the money's there, the pay-per-view's there, but you can find an excuse if you don't want to do it.
Duck alert, duck alert, duck alert, the alarm.
What promoter would put Errol Spence in with a world-class opponent right now? No run-out? A warm-up? Let this Roy Jones partnership bed in a little? Some are going to question, is Roy the right guy? Who knows? Perhaps he's just prepared to take less money than Derek James.
We'll be making a decision this week on AJ's next fight. There's a lot of conversations going on, talks of a fight this year. And if that's the case, it will be a run-out fight, you know, to get himself in the groove for 2026. There are talks happening with Turki Al-Sheikh regarding a Tyson Fury fight. He'll do his work with us and he'll do his work with Tyson Fury to see if he can get both guys on board. We love that fight. AJ's motivated and he's ready to go.
So there was talk of Anthony Joshua returning to the ring on the undercard of Craig Richards versus Dan Aziz in Ghana, December the 20th. But now Mike Coppinger is talking about Jake Paul and AJ finalizing terms for a Netflix showdown in December in Miami. There will be genuine concerns about Jake Paul's safety because Anthony Joshua, whilst coming off a knockout defeat over a year back now, is one of the biggest punchers in the weight class. He has a former unified heavyweight champion, 2-time. So he's got less than a month to prepare for AJ as his next opponent after the collapse of the Gervonta Davis fight. And I assume it's going to be a quote-unquote actual fight, not an exhibition, because his last 2 fights against Chavez and Mike Tyson are actual fights. It's going to be on Netflix. They must be breaking the bank to get AJ over there, man. So AJ follows Jaya Pataya and Dalton Smith, whose next fights will not be on DAZN. Mind you, I paid up my $229, let's round it up to $230 for the year. It goes up to $250, 11th of December next year, of which I don't get Jaya Pataya, Dalton and AJ. So I'm not very happy about that. I'm not. But
What can I do?
so the British Boxing Board of Control are taking legal action against Chris Eubank Jr. But I'm unclear what the board are taking Eubank Jr. to court for. Is it about the delayed ambulance? Didn't Eubank have a pop at Robert Smith about allowing the media into the weighing area, which somehow distracted him from making the weight? If that's possible, all you got to do is stand on the scale. It wouldn't matter if a million media people were in the weighing area. How would that affect you weighing in? Eubank was apparently upset that Robert Smith, the secretary of the board, didn't investigate his claim that Hearn delayed the ambulance. He didn't investigate the claim because it's fucking ridiculous, that's why. But anyway, Eubank complaining about the rehydration clause, being sabotaged at the weigh-in, the ambulance delay, and that's just some of the shit that he's leveled against Eddie Hearn or the British Boxing Board of Control. Is he doing this because he's trying to deflect about the reality of that fight? That Conor is just the naturally smaller guy than Chris. 10-pound rehydration or not, Chris is basically breaking off a lot of bread from the game, fighting a relatively inexperienced smaller man. So to level up the playing field, he's got to let us know how evil Eddie Hearn is and how evil Conor is, and that the British Boxing Board of Control are in Eddie Hearn's pocket, conspiring against him. This is me against the world, baby. And it was True Geordie. I was listening to True Geordie and he's saying nobody's really making a big deal about how much bigger Chris is than Conor. And I think after the first fight where Conor exceeded expectation, hospitalizing Chris for a number of days, that's when Chris really upped the ante on him being a victim. And in all truth, he should be concerned about the ramifications of losing to Conor because of the size difference between the two.
Their fathers were evenly matched in height, in reach, in size, in experience. This was a much less experienced Conor Benn, a 3 inches shorter Conor Benn, a 5 inches less reach advantage Conor Benn, a person who's weighing about a stone or more less than his opponent. Like, Conor Benn was massively disadvantaged in this fight, and I don't think enough gets made of that because of the way Chris Eubank has cried and made such a massive deal over this rehydration clause.
But I'm not saying Conor is the smaller guy, poor Conor. No, Conor hasn't even fought for a British title yet, and he's making an absolute fortune. because he can fight like Chris can fight. But neither have achieved what their dads have achieved. So it's not poor Conor, just like it shouldn't be poor Chris. But the reason it's poor Chris is because of Conor's ped case. And he's become one of them figures in the UK that is disliked by many. And if it wasn't for that, a lot more people would take Conor's side. Chris has a huge size advantage. The only rebuttal to that is if Chris's size advantage is being negated by that rehydration clause, which a lot of boxers abide by if they fight for IBF titles. As for Chris making 160, he's been doing that since 2018. That's been his weight class.
Few things I want to talk about leading up to this fight. First of all, a lot was made about Chris Eubank Jr.'s weight, especially that last cut that he had to make. This time around, do you feel like he's going to play it differently? And is there any cause for concern?
No, because you made the weight last time. Now you got the opportunity to go again. So I'm not really going to buy into the weight. When we're talking about weight, is this Conor Benn's weight? It's not Conor Benn's weight. Conor Benn is not a 160 fighter. You know what I mean? Conor Benn is like a 154 fighter right now. I guarantee you, Conor Benn will come in about 156, 157. He ain't going to come in that big because I think he's going to rely more on speed.
Who has the bigger disadvantage? Conor, because he's a smaller man, a lot smaller, or Chris, because he signed up for 2 rehydration clauses for both fights? Shout out to James Ozzy Osborne. The Essex Southpaw won the super middleweight HEIST tournament. The same format as the prize fighter that Matchroom used to do. This was in Yorkshire. Hull, Izzy Asif, the promoter, GMB. And it just was a pleasant reminder that boxing can be fun. Lots of knockouts, fast-paced fights. Crowd were into it. No long breaks between fights. Like the Rasad Lewinsky versus Taz Nadeem fight was a really good fight, man. Like, Taz is obviously a bodybuilder, had huge legs and his back were huge. And with muscles like that, the oxygen soon left the gas tank and he lost a split decision. Although on a few occasions, it looked like he was going to blast Lewinsky out of there. How Lewinsky stood up to some of them shots, I don't know. His resilience was very impressive. Very good fight. Jermaine Brown, he was fancied by many as a favourite. He scored a TKO in the first round against S.A. Smith, 3 knockdowns. He ran into James Osborne in the semis and got hurt a couple of times, and James ran out a worthy winner. James, only 5'8", which isn't particularly tall for a 168 pounder, compensated for his lack of height and reach with his southpaw skills and his gutsy boxing style. In the final, James Osborne took on Lewinsky and stopped him in the first round. Wow. 2 knockdowns. Caught him cold and got him out of there. And he won the 25k. I didn't see all the fights, but the fights I saw were very entertaining. Good night of boxing. Here's the thing about life, and I know some people don't like when Beaks tries to get all deep and philosophical. I'm not getting deep and philosophical. This is grown man common sense shit. If you're not down with it, there's lots of filler channels in there who'll give you what you want. If you take something out of existence because it's no longer functional, that means something has to replace it. So I would have no issue with the anti-Dana, adding the UBO section to the Muhammad Ali Act. I'd have no issue with that if either the media, the people in the industry, or the fans had an alternative rather than the current system. But they don't. What they want to do is get rid of Dana White, but do nothing to improve the current system. That is not acceptable. If the media, if the boxing fans, if the boxing industry had plans of fixing the traditional system, which Eddie Hearn was banging on about, he thinks boxers want to fight for traditional belts. If they were making a concerted effort to improve the mediocrity we have now, I'll be penning up bars to curse out Dana White.
We gonna chase those crazy ballers.
Chase that crazy ballad.
Out of town.
Yeah, I'll be down with it. But with the current system and the lackadaisical attitude that the fans and media and the industry have, like for instance, if the number 12 contender can get a title shot above the number 1 mandatory contender who was called to have a mandatory against Pulev for the interim belt, and the media have not made a big deal about this story, there's something wrong with boxing. The media, the boxing fans, are not asking the WBA why they have retracted on the ordered mandatory that they put out there to put Gassiev in there. I'm not going to spend too long on it, but the social justice warrior media and fan dynamic in boxing is a bit corny. It's a bit corny. You guys have to make up your mind whether you're going to fight for boxers' rights or fight for your right as a consumer. You try to do both, you're going to spread yourself thin. Let the fighters who are going to sign up on UBOs and TKOs get lawyers and solicitors and seek counsel before they sign contracts. And leave that down to them, as they are grown men with freedom and liberty to do as they please. So the nut jobs have decided they will allow Pulev to defend against Gassiev on December the 12th. The winner must face Itauma next. They will have until February the 9th to reach a deal, or the fight will go to purse bids with a 50-50 split. Sanctioning body madness aside, it actually works out well for Moses. At least his next few fights are mapped out. He takes on FRANKLYN on January the 24th. Nobody can argue that's a decent opponent. Nobody. That will take place at Manchester's Co-op Live. Nice co-main event. Willie Hutchinson versus Ezra Taylor. We all know FRANKLYN took AJ and Dillian White the distance. Some argue that he beat Dillian. And they have a case. They have a case. Frank Warren will be looking for the precocious 20-year-old to make a statement and get FRANKLYN out of there inside the distance. I still haven't seen the fight where Jermaine took Ivan Klitschko, or Ivan Drago, Ditchko, took his unbeaten record. I hear it was controversial. I need to go watch that later today. I have time. I'm going to watch that.